everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to show you what my current go-to quick glam look is. It's an oldie but a goodie, and I haven't updated you on the specifics of how I've been doing makeup lately, so let's get started. The foundation routine is tried and tested and not gonna change anytime soon, so I'm starting out with a primer. And then the foundation I'm using is The Body Shop Bora Bora Tiare foundation in the color Fresh Nude. It has a little SPF in it, which is always a bonus, and I've been using 2 to 3 pumps. I always start with 2 and I usually end up adding a third, so I might just as well start out with 3. And I pick it up with my beauty blender and work it around my face if I have the time to do so, because I'll be honest, if I'm rushing, I just dot it on my face and go blending until I feel like everything looks good. But doing it this way where I'm working around my face, I feel like I'm doing a more thorough job. It's not a full coverage foundation. Whatever I have on my face will show through, so if I really want to cover that, I would go in with concealer first, which I was really big on doing for a minute when I had a nice cream concealer, but when I ran out of that, I didn't really feel the need to replace it, so I've just been using the foundation and calling it a day. I don't specifically want to look flawless, I just want to look more uniform, and that is what it does for me. So next I go in with the LA Girl Pro Concealer, which I have been using since I've been using concealer. I did use an Essence concealer for a minute, but I didn't really like its coverage, so I would like to find something else just for the sake of mixing it up, but don't fix what ain't broke, I suppose. But this is the color Porcelain, and I apply it underneath my eyes, on my forehead, a symbolic touch on the chin, and if I want to be full glam, I would put it right under my nose because I want to connect this section and bring that part of my face forward. Now I want to let the concealer under my eyes sit for a minute to thicken up a little bit, so I usually start on my chin and tap that out. And I don't go everywhere, I keep it right on my chin. Next I go right to my forehead and tap that out. If there's anything left on the beauty blender, I drag it down my nose, and I start on my lip and drag it up kind of halfway and finally going underneath my eyes. I make sure to get it right in the inner corner first, then I tap my way out, and I like working it out straight. I don't like it if that line is too stark, so if your concealer is too light, you can really like see that line there, and sometimes I just go on top of my eyelid with a concealer as well. It's no big deal, but I do like blending it out straight and making sure everything's blended down to my lip. There we go. Then for blush, I have been using a cream blush, which I transferred into this concealer container. I cleaned it and then I put my blush in this because it's a lot smaller than the original container it came in. It's actually a cream lipstick that is way too liquid for a lipstick. It smudges way too much. It doesn't like dry down and stick, and it works great as a blush. So technically I'm using the Design Chubby Lip Crayon to do my blush, but it works. Use what you have. And now that it's in this little pot, I take the back end of my beauty blender, and you can see I do this all the time. I rub it in there to pick the color up here, and then I tap it where I want to go. I take it right here on the outer corners, I guess you could say, of my cheeks at the high point. I apply the color and I take it right to underneath my eye, like so. I do the same on both sides, and then I blend it out in a little bit of a triangle. I go here and like that. That's the triangle I'm aiming to apply the blush. So I go back towards my temple a little bit and a bit down, and just make sure I do get it a little bit right at the corner of my eye. And when most of the color is there, I go in with the regular part of my beauty blender and go over it to make sure the edges are blended and it is blending in with everything else. Then most of the time, more out of habit than anything else, I take whatever is left and give like 2 taps on my forehead, on my nose if I'm feeling it, and that's it for blush. Now for the next 2 steps, I kind of switch the order sometimes, doesn't really matter, but I'm going to do my eyebrows. So I take a spoolie brush and I give them a good brushing so they're lying the direction I want them to lie. Then I use this Julienne eyebrow pomade that I have had for ages. It still works. I've barely dented it, it feels like. If it feels a little dry, take some setting spray and give it a single spray. Then I take the brush on the back of my spoolie and I pick up some product. Now I know for a lot of people doing your eyebrows is a science. For me, just throw something on and call it a day. I start in the middle front and make it uniform. Same goes for the tail. I start with the bottom, not the top, because the bottom is easier to shape. I just follow the shape that's naturally there. I work my way up in like a fanning direction with the outer corner being the anchor point. So I do the bottom line and then I work my way up so that I kind of slowly shape the arch, because I really like it when it's a little bit pointy up here, and I don't want to just go straight with a line and then try and connect it, or it might be too high. So I build my way up until I'm happy with the angle, and then I connect it from the front and make sure it's as sharp as I want it to be. And then I twist my brush 90 degrees, and instead of drawing little lines, I apply light pressure and then kind of drag it sideways. And if need be, I go in and clean it up to make sure it is straight, and I always rub over it afterwards to make sure it's more faded in the front than the rest. So I suppose there is a little bit of rhyme or reason there, but it's nothing too specific. I'm not too bothered by how even my eyebrows are. We're no longer in the days where we cut our brows, so anything goes. I do always want to make sure they start the same distance from my nose, because when I lift them, I feel like this one is closer. When I relax them, they look the same. But even if I'm feeling like I'm not having a good eyebrow day, I rarely look at the picture afterwards and think, ooh, my eyebrows. So I don't worry about them too much. Just don't rub too hard while you're doing this, because you can rub the foundation off and then you have like a little empty patch there. Doesn't look good. But you can also go in with a little bit of scrub up your spoolie afterwards to make sure the front is a little more diffused. I do have two setting powders right now. I have the Catrice Loose Banana one that is a drugstore one, cheap one that I can throw on as much as I want to, and it's starting to run out. And I have this Lumine one, I think that's how you say it, that I bought when I was in Norway. That was pricier than I thought, because the NOK to rand conversion in my head did not work very well that day. But I tend to use this one for more fancy things, just because it feels like more special. So I did use this on my wedding day, and I also use it because I'm going for like a dinner, or I need to have my makeup last for a really long time. But if I'm doing something more casual, or I'm just doing my makeup for fun like now, I do tend to go with this one so that I can really load up on powder, which is something I love doing. So I'm going to use this one today. It comes with a little powder puff, and because this is on the emptier side, I don't tap it out anymore. I just pop out this filter thing. Just easier than you think. You just have to get your nail in under the edge and push it up, but this comes out. And then I go in with the powder puff and pick the powder up straight from the container. You can see I'm running low on this. Just gonna make sure nothing is creasing on my eyes before I go in with this powder and set everything. The first thing I do is I go in on and under my eye, because that's where I want things to be set the best. So when I have the most powder on the puff, I apply it right there. And then I only go in one more time, and that just goes on the rest of my face. So just tap it on, and then I spread it out with the puff a little bit, make sure a little bit of powder gets all over my face. I feel like I'm looking all over the place because I have my camera, and then I have like two places where I can see myself. So I'm bouncing between the three places so that you know I'm not always looking directly at you. But I put that back together, and then I go in with my trusted kabuki brush, and then make sure that everything is even and I get the powder all from around my eyes. And now we should be all set. You can go and apply a little more blush if you feel like this isn't bright enough. I kind of save it for the end when I have the whole look together, if I feel like, is the blush showing enough or not? But I'm feeling this is okay today. Funnily enough, for highlighter, I've been using the Modern Renaissance palette. I've been using the shade Vermeer. So I take a little pencil brush, pick up a little bit of that shade, and apply it on my cupid's bow. So I follow the top edge of my lip. I kind of have the brush quite vertical, and I let that edge of my lip find itself. I'm not actually drawing it. I'm just moving the brush back and forth, and it catches my lip. I take a little bit up, about halfway up to my nose. I take it underneath my eyebrow. I apply most of it here under the arch of my eyebrow, and then a little bit tapers right to the front. And for my nose, I usually did a line and then a dot at the tip, and I still do a bit of a dot here. I still like it, and then rub over it to diffuse it. But instead of drawing a line, I find the deepest point of my nose, which is here, where it's the furthest into my face, I guess you could say. And that is where I'm gonna apply it. I start with my brush right there, but I apply it in a circular motion, and it goes slightly down on either side of my nose. And I blend over that again with my finger, and then you see that nose highlight from all sides. I kind of like it, and I prefer it over the straight line down my nose. I feel like it looks a little more natural. And then for highlighter on my cheeks, usually I would just apply a line here, but what I've been doing more these days is kind of so it connects up here. I used to have it connect on my temple, but now it's more here, and I taper it off in this direction. So if I do it with my brush, I first make the line, and then I go back in with circular motions to kind of blend it a little bit. So I'd say I started under the corner of my eye on my cheek, and I follow it up to here, kind of to where my concealer ended, and then I go back in and make sure that is blended. When there's not much on my brush, I give a little touch to my chin, more out of habit than anything else. And if I were to wear something more low color, I would then apply it on my collarbones. But instead of coming back into my highlighter later to highlight my inner corners, which I'm probably gonna do it anyways, when I'm in a rush, I would just do it now. Even though I don't have any of my eyeshadow going now, I know no matter what I do, I'm going to end up highlighting my inner corners. I like keeping it above my inner corner. I don't like when it goes underneath my eye, so I do apply it right here when I start, but then I kind of blend it up, not down. And after tapping it on, I give it a light drag onto my lids. Moving on to contour, I have been using this big face brush, and I have been using mostly the middle shade, but I do give a touch, and I mean a single touch, into the dark shade. And instead of going in the hollow of my cheeks here where I usually do, I learned this in my TikTok makeup hacks of all places, but I take it from here up over my cheek instead of under my cheek, and I find that suits my face a bit better. So I take it straight up like so. It feels a bit ridiculous, but it works. And I just blend over it until I feel like it is gone. I do take a little bit underneath my chin, otherwise I feel like there's color in the middle of my face but not the top and the bottom, and then it stands out as opposed to fitting in with everything else. So I do also give a little touch right at the top of my forehead. Now I can do a lot more detailed contour. There are other things you know I love doing, like I love applying it on my temples and carving it out and everything, but this is if I'm rushing. A good default, don't have to think too hard about it type of look. And then this is the approach that I take. I just use the middle shade on a little brush like this if I go under my lip. I focus mostly under my lip. On top of my lip, I just kind of give it a touch on either side. It's not that serious. It takes more time to properly contour the top, so I focus more on the bottom. Just make sure it's blended. And I think for my nose contour, I just get lucky because I kind of just throw it on and I feel it looks fine 9 out of 10 times. But I have, I guess you could say, a boxy tip to my nose, so I catch the top of that ridge, take it upwards, and when we hit here where the highlighter is, I turn it into my eyes. I don't take it up into my brow. The bow naturally goes here. So that's where I put the contour. The same on the other side. I lift my eyebrows for this so that that area is nice and accessible. Then I take the same brush to scrub over the same area a little bit, pushing it in a touch to help blend that edge and diffusing it here above my eyes. And if it needs it or not, I tend to go in with my kabuki afterwards just so I can rest assured it's blended. Then I go in with a large flat brush and I pick up these two shades from my Shade and Light palette and I apply it underneath my eyes to make sure it's brightened. I focus first immediately underneath my eye, then I take it down the side of my nose and then a little bit up on the side to help shape that contour a little bit, and then I drag the rest out kind of like a fan to make sure the area is brightened. I do this specifically because I feel like it helps if you have like an under eye bag that keeps showing. If you apply a light powder on top of it, it does help erase that line a little bit. So far so good. We have a great base going. Usually I recommend you spray some setting spray now, but I will admit if I'm rushing, I don't always get around to doing that, and it's still okay. But just for the sake of it, I'm going to spray. I'm using the Essence Instant Matte Makeup Setting Spray. Neither here nor there. I don't have any strong feelings about any specific setting spray as of yet, but I'm just gonna take 2 little sprays. I give it a second where I fan it to dry it down a little bit so that I don't just absorb all of it with my beauty blender, but then I go in with a clean section of my beauty blender and make sure no droplets dry on my face. And nothing should be moving at this point, so this shouldn't be a risky thing to do. For eyeshadow, I can stick in this palette. That's kind of ideal because you only grab one thing and go, but I tend to go for something else, and it tends to be the Modern Renaissance. I already have it out because I just used the highlighter, so it's accessible. And the idea of this eyeshadow is brown across the lid and then a little bit of definition in the crease. And you can do with that whatever you want to. You can go with a dark shade all over the lid and then a little bit of a lighter color on the edge to kind of fade it out and make it look nice, or you can go with a lighter color all over the lid and you can go with a bit of a darker color to add some definition here. Those are your 2 options. It's the same thing for the most part. So I'm going to pick up raw sienna and I'm going to apply it all over my lid. Literally just throwing it on with a flat yet fluffy brush. I tap it onto my lid. I don't care too much about how even it is because I'm just gonna blend everything, it'll be fine. After that, with the same brush, I go in and I rub over it and I give it a little bit of a swirl in the crease, meaning after going over my eyelid, when I hit my crease, I move in circular motions. And at this point, you'll see the eyeshadow take a little bit of shape. You'll kind of see how it looks on the outer corner, and then you can give it a little bit of lift if that's what you're going for, and just make sure you like the shape it's blending out into. And I don't know if it's just because I've done my makeup a lot, so I have an idea of how to do this, or if it really is an easy thing to do, but I feel like I'm just giving it a quick swirl and a little flick, and then the eyeshadow's done. I go in with the same color, and I'm going to put it on the outer corner of my lower lash line, or rather the outer half. I have actually been neglecting my lower lash line the last while, but it makes a difference. It's worth doing. But just make sure you blend it out. This side is blended, this side is not. If you apply too much, you're gonna undo all the work you did brightening up underneath your eyes. So less is more in this regard. And then I'm going in with literally a touch of Cypress Umber, and I stamp it right in the outer corner. I aim for here, but the color always applies itself there. I know that now, but now that I can see the colors there, I tap it off. I don't want to apply anymore. I just want to blend out what's already there. So I put my brush there and I go in a small circular motion. At first it doesn't feel like it's really going anywhere, which is fine. I then close my eye to stretch out the area, and then I go in bigger circles and drag it up a little bit. Give it a little flick if you have to, but be careful to not drag it too much because that can make it look a little muddy. So again, place it right where the shadow is, give it a little move around, close your eye to stretch out your lid and go in bigger motions and drag it more into your crease. And then a little flick. That's literally it. It's literally that easy. That's all you have to do. And our inner corners are already highlighted, so the eyeshadow is done. I've then been enjoying going in with a white eyeliner in my lower lash line, and I always do this before mascara, otherwise it catches on my lashes and you can see it on the mascara and it doesn't look good. But I suppose you could technically skip that. I'm then also going in with a black eyeliner on the upper lash line. And this is where I take it slow because this is where I can mess it up. If I'm rushing and I like get this outside of my eye, it can mess up everything. So with everything else I'm sprinting, and here I take a second to make sure it goes where I want it to go. I make sure to get this inner corner. I don't entirely drag it out, but it adds a little bit of definition that makes it look more done even if you don't end up doing any liquid eyeliner. So far we're doing great. It's time to curl my lashes. I got a new lash curler and I really like it. And then for mascara, I am sure you know the deal. I'm jumping between two. I'm using the Catrice All Round Mascara in Ultra Black, and this is why I hate using a makeup bag. You cannot find anything. So if I'm rushing, I'm throwing the whole bag out on the table, which I hate doing, but I need to find a better setup. I'm also using the Essence Lash Princess in the green. I don't know if it's just in my head, but if I just use one or the other, I feel like my lashes aren't that great. But I get my top and my bottom lashes, and then I go in with the other mascara on my top lashes again. And it just does something. I also always feel like the lashes on my right hand side always curl better than on my left hand side. I don't know why. If you do get some mascara on you because you're rushing, it's fine. I'm gonna do our lips now, and then you can come back with a spoolie, use your brows and just lightly remove it. For lips, I'm back to an old favorite, and by old I mean I don't even have a sticker with the name on it anymore, but I have this one Essence lipstick I've had for ages, and I put it all over my lips. I spread it out because I don't want it to smudge, so I just put on a little bit and then spread it onto my lips as opposed to applying it over my lips. And then I go in with another Essence lipstick, a brown one, to add some definition. And that is exclusively what I use this one for, so the entire tip is round of me just trying to use it to line my lips, but I'm going to apply it right on the edge of the top and the bottom. And then I go in with my ring finger, and this tends to work out fine. It doesn't sound like it should, but I'm just gonna rub along my bottom lip. I pull it in a little bit like so, and rub, and I make sure I catch that whole brown line. It's specifically on the edge here that it's a bit harder to get without going out the line, so I know to pay attention there. This side I usually have to clean up. Then on the top I do the same thing, but I don't pull in my lip so that my finger naturally catches the edge of my lip, the same way I did with the highlighter. And then it looks like I have fairly neatly lined lips without me taking the time of going in with a lip liner. And after that I go in with a touch of toilet paper, take off any excess, and there we have a cute lip. If I want this to look a little extra, and what I did in my interview video is I took this, I got this when I got married as well. This is the Essence Eye Sparkle Liquid Liner, and I touch a little bit of it to my lips. I think it adds a nice cute little sparkle, just a little bit like that. And then I would draw a line here, but that's like a specific look. I don't always do that. And then just make sure to blend that out. Adds a little bit of something. And then at the end of that, I throw everything back into my makeup bag to be dealt with again on another day. I feel like I'm always complaining about the fact that I have a makeup bag that my mother got for me, but I'm so over the acrylic holders and I haven't thought of anything better yet, so this is just my life right now. And it goes right on the side of my table. And we're done. With the makeup, we're done. Now I'm gonna let my hair down, and I am already dressed. If I'm actually going to leave the house and I'm rushing to leave the house, my hair is already done earlier the day or the day before, and I have my outfit on so that I don't have to like pull the outfit over my head and potentially get makeup on it. I'd rather be careful and make sure I don't mess any makeup on it while I'm getting ready than struggle with throwing on an outfit while my husband's ready a foot out the door. This way, if I'm already dressed, I can literally be like putting on the last thing as he's walking to the car and then run out. I feel like I'm always struggling with my hair because I don't know what to do with it. I also put in like a pomade when I curled it to try and make it look nice, and I feel like it did not help it last any longer, and I feel like the pomade just made my hair look oily. But then this is what I end up looking like, and I feel like it looks good. I feel like it's formal enough for a night out, it's cute for a date, and it was relatively easy and simple to do. I can do this in 15 to 18 minutes, where usually if I want to do full glam and really get in and make it look good, it's going to take me more in the 40 to 50 minutes range. So compared to that, I think this is pretty fast, and I think it looks pretty good for how fast it was. Of course, practice makes perfect, so it wouldn't necessarily be that fast the first time you do it, but I have done this a few times now, so it's just one thing after the other. I don't have to think about it. I know what's happening next. And now it's documented for 3 years from now when I have forgotten what my go-to look was and I don't know how to do it anymore. Also, a moment for the dress I'm wearing. It's this cute little brown dress that I made myself. I'm very proud of myself. I made this and then broke my overlocking machine, so I need to go get that fixed. I don't know how I broke it, but at least I finished the dress before that happened. And I also made my husband a matching tie, which is like my cheat code to make us match. I make myself a dress and then I use some of the same fabric to make him a tie. He can wear whatever and slap on a tie and then we're matching match. It's very cute. But then this is the final result. There's not much else to say, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye bye.